업무를 다른 사람한테 맡겨야 되거나. Hi, hello, good morning, and welcome to our first Korean study vlog in like 7 or 8 months. Yeah, it's been a hot minute. The last time I made this kind of video was in January of this year, like before I had started working. Yeah, I thought I could share with you guys how I've been studying Korean more recently. I feel like over the past, I want to say month or so ish, I've really been trying to study Korean more regularly because when I re-entered the workforce, I really tried to keep up my study schedule in terms of like taking 2 to 3 like italki classes a week, like studying my words, reading my books. And I quickly found out after about like 3 weeks that that was not sustainable for me, and then I kind of like just died. But now I'm back. So yeah, I thought I could share what I've been studying, how I've been studying, as well as do a little mini learning Korean Q&A. Let's jump into our studying. So today I have an italki class with a community tutor to work on my speaking skills. I've noticed that my ability to discuss different social issues has really worsened, and I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, I worked so hard in language school to be able to discuss these topics, and I was able to do it, and now I'm like, So today, with my tutor, I will be discussing Korea's declining birth rate, because you know me, for some reason, I always find a way to talk about how Korea is not having any babies. And then, that was a joke. The second article is about Japan and Fukushima and how they have released treated nuclear waste into the ocean. I think it's treated nuclear waste. Basically, Japan is saying it's safe, but surrounding countries, including Korea, are skeptical. And then the last article is about the recent teacher protests that have been happening across Korea. So if you're not someone that stays like super up to date with news in Korea, if I say this in a very PG friendly way, there have been some cases more recently where teachers have been harassed by parents to the point where they decide to leave. Teachers are rallying across the country saying that they have the right to a safe work environment, and the current, I guess, laws or protections that are in place aren't protecting the teachers well enough. So heavy article topics that I have chosen. I'm going to reread these, study the key vocabulary, and make sure that I just have a good understanding of what's going on so that I can actually discuss them with my community tutor. This is the article that I mentioned earlier about Japan. I'm just gonna import it into link really quickly. Okay, it's done. Okay, so I have reread all 3 articles. I'm not super confident in the vocabulary, but I mean, you gotta use it to learn it, right? And I haven't had the chance to use it yet, so it's fine. It's okay. But before my class starts in a few minutes, I want to show you guys how I've been organizing my Korean studies more recently, like over the past, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 months now. I started using Notion, the sponsor of today's video, to help me create a digital hub for my Korean studies. If you don't know what Notion is, it's a productivity and note-taking application that has a variety of different organizational tools so that you can customize your Notion to meet your needs, help you get more done in less time. Now, knowing that Notion is super customizable, I was avoiding it. For a very long time, I was avoiding it. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I get so overwhelmed by having a lot of options that I was like, I don't know if that's for me, no, okay. But I tried it out and I was able to find a system that works well for me and my Korean studies, and I wanna share that with you guys. So here she is. This is my Korean language learning hub on Notion. I just named it 한국어 학습 or Korean studies because I am not very creative. So going into more detail of what I've included on this main page for my Korean studies, I have a section called Currently. This is basically the main resources, I guess you could say, that I'm using to study Korean. And then if you scroll down, I have a study schedule here. So this is for this week. I only have 3 lines in this table because I am trying to set realistic expectations for myself. Here on the right, I have 2 pages that will link to another area of my Notion. I have my italki 구석 or italki corner, and then I have one that is a 한국어 뭐 공부해야 할 거, like things that I need to study. I have an area called topic fluency goals. So I want to be able to speak fluently in Korean about my job. So I listed some of my tasks at work that I need to be able to talk about. I want to be able to talk about my previous work experience in the USA, which was in procurement. And then I have being able to talk about personalities because for some reason I really struggle to talk about people's personalities and it's kind of embarrassing. So here is my italki 구석. She's cute. Let me show you around. So I have my list of currentlies. So again, it's the same links and resources that were on my main hub, but because they are mainly used for italki, I wanted to see them here on this page as well. And then on this side, I have a list of questions that I want to ask my italki tutors the next time I meet with them. And then down here, I created a database that I'm really, really proud of. I created a database for all of the news articles that I am studying with my italki teachers. So you can see these 3 articles here at the top I will be reviewing with my teacher today. I have the topic of the article also listed, so society, environment, politics, business. Then here I have the name of the article, the link to the article. Now if I click on any of these items that has like the little document icon on it, you can see that I actually have some notes listed in here. So these are the notes that my teacher gave me, the corrections she gave me, the discussion questions that we used to talk about this particular article. I found that it's just easier for me to have it right here in Notion. Next, I want to show you guys my page that's called 공부해야 할 거, or things that I need to study. I created a master list, like a database basically of vocabulary that I cannot remember. And then if you scroll down the same database, but I filtered it. Now I can see all of the idioms here. I can see all of the 사자성어 here. So there are a ton of templates on Notion that are specifically meant for language learning, especially for people that are studying more than one language. So I encourage you guys to sign up for Notion with a link in my description box. Check out those templates, see what works for you if there's anything there. And then of course, download the one that suits you best and edit it to make it what you need. I feel like I'm going to continue making edits to mine as I use it more and more, but I'm really happy with it right now. Okay, I have class in like 5 minutes, so 5 minutes to spare. So I'm gonna go to class now and let's talk a little bit more after class. Yeah? Yeah, okay. 저기 다니는 친구가 있어서 같이 가자고 해서 갔는데 몸에 정말 힘들어요. 이제 몸이 아파요. 솔직히.
아니 얼마나 열정적으로 응원하신 거예요?
아, 그니까요. 근데 같이 간 친구들이 남자이기 때문에 힘이 너무 세서요. 그래서 지가 그럼 멍이 생길까봐 만지지 말라고 했는데
한국에서는 이해가 안 되는 말일 수 있는데 한국에서는 가끔
그 업무를 다른 사람한테 맡겨야 되거나 신입원 찾아야 돼요. Okay. Oh my goodness. So I am done with my italki class. I feel so exhausted, but also so energized. I don't know, it's weird. Anytime I go to a class, I'm always happy it's over, but I also feel like I want to speak more Korean afterwards. Out of the 3 articles that we discussed together today, the most difficult one ended up being the one about low birth rates in Korea, which was ironic to me because every semester in language school, so for me, level 5, level 6, and 연구반, or the research class that comes after level 6, we always talked about the declining birth rate in Korea. So I like when I read the article, it was actually the easiest to read, right? Because I already knew the vocab, you know, it wasn't a new topic for me, but for some reason that was the most difficult for me to explain my thoughts, which is kind of disappointing because I've practiced it so many times. I'm really happy that I'm taking speaking specific classes again, specifically related to like news articles and things, because I really enjoy learning how to express my thoughts. I guess a better way to say that would be I never want my thoughts and opinions on really important topics to be dismissed because I can't express myself fluently or intelligently in Korean. Anyway, I'm gonna take a short little break to eat some food, and then we're gonna come back and answer your questions about learning Korean. Sound good? Sounds good. Some time has clearly passed as it is now getting dark outside. I just really needed to rest, bro. I can't. Anyway, I wanted to jump into the mini Q&A that I mentioned earlier. So the first question is, which textbooks would you consider to be essentials in your Korean language learning journey? Honestly, none. Like, I feel like Korean textbooks are all like written, not all of them, but like most of them are written with the goal of the student doing well on the topic or the test of proficiency in Korean. Like, all of the Korean university textbooks are meant for students to take topic, right? Because they're meant for the university's language centers. So they want their students to be able to like move up on the topic so that they can eventually go to university in Korea, as that's usually the goal of the students. To be honest, I don't think I've ever used any book and thought, wow, like if I hadn't had this book, my Korean would like not have improved X amount. If we were to say like what are my essential or what have been my essential resources for learning Korean, instead of textbooks, I would say italki, which should not be a surprise. I would say Memrise, as I mentioned earlier. Like, I have been using Memrise basically since day one of learning Korean, so over 7 years of using Memrise. And then I would say probably Korean Class 101, which I know I like never ever talk about anymore, but when I was a beginner, I went really hard with the Korean Class 101. Like, I had a subscription, like a paid subscription to their platform, and it was really, really helpful to me. It's difficult to find content to learn in context as a beginner. Do you have any recommendations? Okay, so going into this question, I think it's really important that we remember that as a beginner, you're not going to be learning with native content unless you're willing to sit through some show that is meant for preschoolers or something. Which, if you are, more power to you. And if you have any like content suggestions that's native content that beginners could use, of course, please feel free to share it in the comment section. But in my experience, I would say your best bet for learning with context as a beginner would be to find lessons that have dialogues. And I know that sounds really, really basic, like, I'm sorry, but anything that has like a long dialogue or just like multiple dialogues and then teaches based off what's in that dialogue, which again, I know that sounds just like a lot of textbooks. Like, I wouldn't say necessarily like, oh, go buy a book or something because you're a beginner, and I don't think that would be beneficial to you. I guess if you want like very specific recommendations, like resource recommendations, I would recommend the Korean Class 101. Like I just said, I used a lot of like in context learning with that because their core, at least for their audio lessons, the core thing they teach you with is a dialogue. And they do have different voice actors for it, so that's really nice. I would say story learning. They also do context-based learning. Like, that's their whole motto, is learn Korean in context. They have a really nice course setup. Like, it's really, really nice. Like, if you're someone that really needs the structure of lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, their course is really nice. If you're not someone that's in the position to be able to like invest money into your studies, then I do know that Talk to Me Korean has some good dialogue content on YouTube that you can access if you're really wanting to study in context. However, from what I've seen, they don't build on each other. It's like a random topic and then a random topic and then a random topic. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to remember what you've studied through that content. Does learning Korean get easier? My knee-jerk reaction is honestly no. And I know that sounds really discouraging, but like, hear me out for a second. It's always hard, but it's hard for different reasons. So I think as a beginner, it's really overwhelming because you're going into a new language. Regardless of whether you've liked K-pop, regardless of whether you've been watching a ton of K-dramas or something, it can be really overwhelming because there's so much content that you don't know. So you get to like the upper beginner or intermediate stage even. It's like, wow, I've been studying for like 5 months and I still can't talk about this subject, or I still can't do that, or like I still always make a mistake when using this grammar point. I'm not trying to say that it's so difficult that you shouldn't try learning Korean or that you shouldn't learn Korean or something like that. I'm just saying, like, it's not, oh, once you're past the beginner level, like it's easy sailing or something, because it's not. Upper beginner to lower intermediate, how to know when to make the jump. Okay, this is kind of difficult because I can never know whether you're one of those people that thinks like you're a lot better at Korean than you actually are, or maybe you're someone that thinks that you're bad and you're actually really good. Like I can't assess your abilities well enough to be able to tell you. But I guess I would say, like, no matter how good you get at all the beginner stuff, there's always a huge jump to the intermediate content. Like, especially if you're using any Korean like language textbooks that came out of a university, there's a huge jump from level 2 or upper beginner to level 3, which is low intermediate. I don't think there's any way you could review the beginner content so well. Like I don't think you could ever know it so well that when you go into that intermediate content, you feel like you're supposed to be there. Just be ready for that jump. And that jump, like even if you feel like it's really hard, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not supposed to be studying with that content. It could just be that the gap is being, you know, the gap. Tips for starting to read books in Korean. I really want to, but I'm not sure where to start. B1, just starting 2A. So okay, I'm gonna assume that you're saying you are just going into like A2 level, which would be topic 2, if I'm understanding you correctly. You're saying you're starting to study topic 2 or upper beginner Korean, and you're trying to determine if you need to wait until you're at least topic 3, which I guess was the equivalent to B1 in like the European language levels stuff. I don't think you're gonna like my advice very well, but I would say you need to wait until you're like topic 6. If you're someone that really likes reading, then I would say topic 5. And I say that because reading books is a whole nother thing. It's really hard, especially if you're someone that likes fiction books. Like if you, okay, based on my personal experience, reading nonfiction books is really easy, and reading fiction books, even if it's like simple books, it's really hard because of all of the adjectives and expressions that they put in their writing. In terms of like tips, other than my suggestion for you to wait until you're level 5 or like level 6 preferably, my suggestion is that you start off with the chapter books, like the books that are meant for people like in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, like those little really thin chapter books. Start off with those, and preferably start with something that's a little bit like more 일상적인, like the topic is very real life kind of topics, not like some kind of fantasy. Please not Harry Potter. Anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. I feel like I've talked a little bit too long and potentially had a delivery that was a bit discouraging, but thank you to Notion for sponsoring this video. Guys, make sure to check them out in the description box. Again, there are tons of templates for people that are wanting to have a space in Notion for studying languages, so check that out. Yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. So 다음에 봐요, guys. Bye.